Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with an Everspace video. I have just about finished up with this game. I'm down to my last achievement, and I thought it would be a good chance to record a video completing that last achievement while also giving you a flavor for what this game is, to see if it's something that might be up your alley, something that you might be interested in. I really enjoyed it. It was a cool, fun experience, a little bit different than anything else I'd played for a while. So definitely had fun with it, and I thought it was worth a video that would both show this last achievement, which should be a fairly difficult one, but not too difficult. And it's also a chance to give an overview of the game, a lot of a flavor for what's involved here, to hopefully let you guys that are out there viewing it maybe decide if this one's worth picking up for yourselves. So this is a roguelite game, basically, where you do a run, and some of the progress of that run kind of gets saved to make you a little bit more powerful for your next run. And you do multiple runs through the game until you've completed everything. There is some story elements involved here. I'm going to be avoiding those, so this should be spoiler-free. There might be very, very minor spoiler moments in here based on the random interactions that we come across, but for the most part, I should be able to avoid those. So we're going to jump right into the run, and then as I go through, I'll kind of explain what's going on. At the start of each run, you get to pick your ship from multiple different ships. You gain skills that you can upgrade throughout your multiple playthroughs. And let's see, at the start of each run, you also get to pick a little bit of bonus equipment. I don't like any of these, so we're going to re-roll. And these are all pretty bad, but I will take the energy core extension. And so the achievement that I'm trying to get here, the last one that I need, is to complete a run through the game on the hard difficulty. So we're going to select hard difficulty and jump in here. I have not yet done a run through on the hard mode difficulty. So, you know, I know what's going on in the game and I know the different difficulty modes, but I don't exactly know how difficult this mode is going to be. So it'll be interesting to find out, but I think it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So the way this game is broken up, it's each of the little segments. You jump into a system, and it's its own kind of random enclosed encounter, right? You're in an area of space, and there's going to be some enemies, some items, some resources that you can engage in, you know, to the degree that you like. You can spend a lot of time picking apart everything, trying to get everything you can, or you can jump out pretty early. There are some restrictions on that we'll get into as we find them, but you can see after a couple of seconds in the system, this green wormhole is going to pop up, or jump point is going to pop up. If you align with it, your jump drive starts charging. If it gets to 100%, you'll jump out of the system and go on to the next one. There are things that can block that can prevent that can slow that down. There's skills that can speed it up. But for the most part, it's fairly straightforward to get in and out of any given system and to get away from a difficult situation if you don't like how things are set up. So the ship that I've chosen for this run is called the gunship. It is the big burly tank. It can take a lot of damage. It can carry a lot of weapons. It can use more drones than some of the other ships. It's basically big and beefy, but it's also slow. And interestingly, it doesn't have a shield. All of the other ships have a shield, and if that gets damaged, it'll regenerate over time if you're not taking damage. This ship, you can see the red bar in the upper left, it's just hit points. Every time you're taking damage, that damage will stick. Now, you can repair damage with items called nanobots, and you can make repair kits from them. So you can fix your health as you go along. And I actually have a skill or an enhancement on this ship that every time I jump to a new sector, I'll repair 5% of my health points. So a good combination for this ship to kind of have you get that automatic heal every time you do a jump. So you can see there were some mines there, and this is, you know, again, one of those random bits. There's going to be structures and stations and derelicts and stuff, And usually when you poke around to them, you'll find things like that. And there we go, we got some nanobots to hang on to for later to heal with. And there we go, some credits and some nanobots. So there's some mines, you can see the red light, and we can destroy those from distance so they don't cause any damage to our ship. So credits are kind of the main way you progress your character across the multiple runs. You can gain skills and unlock the other ships and upgrade the other ships and do all that stuff with credits. So when you finish a run, all the credits that you earned, you get to then spend prior to the start of your next run. However, any that you don't spend, you lose. So you can't just like bank them up over multiple runs. You complete a run, and then you got to use those credits before you finish or start the next run. Okay, so we're looking around for additional items here. We could see the blue outline indicates that there is an item to be had. And then you can see that the warning there, Okar forces inbound. So there is a time limit for how long you can be in any given sector. And when you reach that time limit, these forces will jump in. They kind of are the big bad that's chasing you. And they start with some challenging small ships, and then they get supported by some bigger capital type ships, and then they get reinforced by like an indestructible super ship. So you got to get going at some point, and when you start to see that warning pop up, it's usually a good time to go. Okay, so when you clear a sector, you come to the map where you can usually pick your route through each sector. You can see this is Sector 1. We need to get to Sector 7, and so here we can select the route that we take. We have some information on the map. Again, you acquire that extra information through skills. So now we can see the threat level. We can see certain events or characters that might be located in those positions and make our decision accordingly. The big thing that I'm going to do is avoid hazards. And when they pop up on the map, I'll explain that in a little more detail. Early on, we don't really see them. Okay, so we're going to jump into the system here, and we're getting attacked here early. So one of the reasons I like the gunship is its choice of weapons is very good, including the flak cannon. I think it's one of the best weapons for me that I've come across in the game. It's in kind of an area explosion. You can see the projectile fires out, and then when it gets close to the enemy or close to the target, it does that area damage, and it just seems to be more effective. You're not relying on perfect aim. The weapons do have a bit of gimbaling to them. They'll kind of auto-target a bit for you, but this makes it so you have to rely even less on that, because as long as you're getting somewhat close, you're going to be okay. All right, so here we can see this is part of the reason that we're working through here is to upgrade our ship as we go. We can go for the Gatling turret or the laser turret, and each time that you have a choice to pick something up, you can kind of compare it to what you're using. So the laser turret is much better at doing damage to shields, while the Gatling turret is much better at doing damage to the hull. And I think I'm going to stick with the Gatling. Well, yeah, the range on the laser turret is much better. I guess that's the point. We'll switch to the laser. I usually like the Gatling as a finisher. If something gets too close, I turn that on. But we'll switch it up. We'll go for the long range, open up the laser to try and do shield damage early. So let's do that. And as you work through each run, you can upgrade the items. There's special upgrades and there's mods that you can put on them. Lots of options to kind of customize each individual run as you go through it, and makes each run feel like a special, unique experience. Okay, so one of the things that comes up in one of the story side quest lines is finding creatures, and you can scan them, and that will give you money, which again I don't really need, because hopefully this is my last run through the game, so there's no need to carry money into my next run. But just to show you how that works, all you have to do is get close to the creature, you will scan it automatically, and then be given a credit payout when you're done. So the gunship, I did say, you know, big, carries lots of weapons, but it's bulky, it's thick, it has more momentum than some of the other ships. It takes a little bit more effort to turn it, to arrest its momentum, to go from forward to reverse. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. If you like being small and nimble and quick, then one of the other ships may be more to your liking. The other thing about the flat cannon you have to be careful is it can damage yourself, right? If you get in too close, if an enemy gets close to you, and then you hit them with the flat cannon, the area damage can also hit you. Collision damage is a thing, and if you have a shield, not a problem. You bump, the shield will absorb the damage and then probably recharge without a problem. But in this ship, no shield, so every time you bump into something, you are permanently damaging yourself unless you repair it. All right, we're going to go in here to the menu, and one of the great features about this is so you can sell off or scrap things that you don't want. You can also just skip them so that you don't switch to that item in combat when you're rotating through stuff. So those are both great features. We're going to get rid of this guy. And you can see what you get there for salvaging. Lots of shield missiles, all right. And let's call out one of our drones. All right. The other good thing about the flat cannon, it does have a pretty extreme range compared to some of the other weapons in the game. So turrets and stations, or I should say stations, will typically have some protection, whether they're turrets or enemy ships that can jump in. Just because you don't see them right away doesn't mean they won't jump in to attack you once you get close enough. So usually when you're approaching something, it's good to kind of keep an eye out for those hidden elements. Fuel is a big resource in the game. I think we're going to jump now. You can see in the upper right, I've got a fuel gauge. It's at 149 right now. Again, that's upgradable to 150 for this ship. Each of those segments is a jump. So you have 6 jumps, and you can kind of refill fuel as you go. Enemy ships will drop it. You can get it from tanks like the one I destroyed there. And then there's also service stations that you can use to refuel and repair. All right, so we're going into a high-risk sector here. Again, it's Sector 1, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal, but there are capital ships in the game, and it could be one of those. Okay, well, we do have a jump suppressor here. So right now, you can see the signal indicator in the upper right, and we don't have our green jump icon, right? We cannot jump out of the sector right now because we're being blocked by that suppressor. So we need to find it and move close to it in order to disable it. And it's good to do that early, because if you wait around and the OCAR forces start coming in, it can be really difficult to find and get rid of the suppression while you're under fire. You can see we got a jump in there from some green ally ships. That's, again, if you work through his quest line, at the end he'll jump in randomly to help you out in sectors sometimes. All right, as soon as we can clear, you can see the suppressor signal there. It is like a hot and cold. As you get closer, the strength of the signal will increase until you're eventually right on top of it at like 100%. And usually there's kind of a giveaway about where those suppressors are. See right there, that little flash, that flicker? That's probably the suppressor. Yep, it is. All right, I think we're clear. So one thing to watch now, let's get this suppression off first. All you gotta do is get close. It'll automatically hack it. And now we are free to jump out of the system whenever we like. All right, so we have taken a good amount of damage here. Let's see if we can get some of it healed up before we go. All right, we've got full fuel. We've got some enemies jumping in.
They've locked onto me. You asked for it.
All right. Wow, more jumping in. And again, credits usually very, very important. That's what you want to prioritize picking up whenever you can. Less important in this run for me. So you may see me skipping things, not being quite the completionist that I usually am, because very little matters here. All we need to do is complete the run and get to the end. Nanobots, we will definitely take the nanobots, and the time extender is also great. That's like an activatable slow mode that can really help you gain the upper hand in the combat. All right, let's see if we can... So, to repair damage, we can use nanobots directly in this hull section, but it is more efficient to craft a device. So let's get rid of this and see if we can make a nano injector. Oh, we can make a Mark III. That's even better. Okay, so let's do that. And then you can either use it from this menu, or you can see we can switch to it out here in the menu. And that should be, yeah, a good chunk of a heal, not quite a full heal, and we still got some nanobots left. When you get down below, I think it's 75% health, you can start taking system damage. And, you know, that can be troublesome. If your life supports takes damage, you have to repair that, or eventually you'll suffocate. If your primary weapons take damage, you can't shoot as well, which can just compound your problem. So a good idea, whenever possible, to stay over that 75% health threshold. And wow, these ally NPCs are not helping me out right now by completely resetting my jump gate. Hopefully we will get out of here before... Okay, we need to move because they keep bumping into me. So you can see we've got regular engines. There's a boost that can help get you out of situations. The boost, as well as your weapons, work off of an energy. The green kind of underslung curved part of the circle around your crosshair is your energy management. As you use weapons, as you use boosts, that energy will deplete, and then it recharges kind of at a set rate. So you need to be aware of your energy management. If you're using too many devices, if you're shooting your weapons for too long, you can leave yourself in a vulnerable state. Okay, so we've reached the end of a sector. Now, instead of that green, jump location, there's an actual gate. So all you have to do is fly to that gate to get out of this sector and go to the next one. So we could go straight there, but again, the reason, we're here in this first sector is to improve our ship before things get too intense. So we are gonna take out the enemies that we can, see if we can grab some resources, some upgrades that will better prepare us for the later sectors that get a little more difficult. And credits are good too. There's opportunity to buy items, fuel, repairs. So, credits for this run certainly will have a use as well. All right, I'm not seeing anything else that screams for my attention. I will note, out here you can see these yellow guys, G&B fighters. There's a G&B station there. Those are scattered all over. They're kind of a third-party company that exists in the space, operates in the space. They're not hostile unless you make them hostile. If you attack them, if you try to take their stuff, they have loot boxes on their station. If you try to do that, then they can turn hostile in that sector But if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone, and there are certain enemies that they will attack just as their normal procedure. So they can be helpful more often than not. Fuel is one of the limiting factors for a run, right? If you don't have fuel, anytime you jump, you have a chance of exploding, ending your run instantly. So it's good to keep an eye on your fuel gauge, top it off whenever you can, and keep the chances of, jumping without fuel to a bare minimum. We do have a suppressor active, and it looks like it might be over in this structure. So these structures are actually important in the game. One of the collectibles can be found in them, and those collectibles are an enhancement for your ship. You get to select a certain number of them, and they provide weird upgrades like that 5% hit point heal that I've got, and some other ones are part of the collectibles. Let's scrap this gun. And the way that you, oh, yep, and there we can see the suppressor too. So the way that you gain access to those collectibles, it's kind of a two-part process, right? You need to find these structures, which will have them in it, but then they're also going to be locked behind these red doors. So there's a chance, it's not always, but there's a chance that behind the red doors there will be one of those collectibles, and in order to open them you need an access key, and they're typically dropped by more difficult enemies, the ones with the red skull or capital ships, things like that. You can get them as your starting kind of boost at the beginning of the run. You might be offered an access key, and then you have to choose when to use it, and if you're going to use it, hopefully you're using it in one of the rooms that has the collectible to collect. And sometimes you can cheat by looking through the walls, and you can see if the collectible is in there. It's like a bright white square. Now I've gotten them all, so there won't be one in there, but if not, check the room if you can, see if you can get the free info before spending that access key and losing it on a room that didn't have one of the collectibles. All right, we are full fuel. I think we're all set. Let's jump out. Oh, wait, there's right in my path. We'll get that ore. Okay, we get our first look at Sector 2, and you can see here in that middle area, the exclamation point, that's a hazard. We are definitely going to avoid that. The top path has a trader and a repair station, so we will do that as our path. And as we get going here, I'm going to try to move a little faster. I might talk a little less, only kind of jumping in when there's something interesting to highlight about the encounter or about the game. Whoa. And there you can see that was a boss character or an elite enemy, and he dropped an access key. So now we can open one of those red doors. And we also got lucky there. You saw those green allies jump in, those little fiery looking guys. That is due to one of the enhancements I have on my ship. Similar to the ships that jumped in earlier to help, that was part of the mission. Well, this is an assist from these random, creatures that, again, I have because I chose that specific enhancement. And it looks like the suppressor is going to be in this structure again. It's over on this side. Yep, there we go. And we'll pop into here just so you can see how one of the access keys will work. Again, similar to hacking the jump suppressor. You just get close, the meter will fill, and there can be turrets in these things sometimes, so we're just checking for those. And then if you are correct, see right here in this blank spot would be this very, white light cube that you download, and then you got the collectible. And I think we only have one key, so this shouldn't open. Yep, there we go, okay. And that was a turret. They are often found, like I said, inside those structures. They can be in the secret rooms. Oh, there's another access key. We're not going to go back in, though. I'm not going to worry about that. Again, if I was going for the collectibles and I hadn't gotten one from there yet, definitely worth it. But we'll just hang on to that for now. So enemies are fairly easy to dodge for the most part. They obviously get more difficult at the higher levels, but as long as they kind of shoot where you were, not where you are. So if you're constantly updating your position, your direction, your speed, it is fairly easy to avoid most enemy fire, which is why I think the gunship makes a lot of sense. If its big weakness is no shield, and you can avoid a lot of fire through skillful piloting, then that's not such a big downside, and you get all the bonus of the weapons and and health and the drones and all that other stuff that comes along with it. So I think it's an easy choice for me to go for the gunship. But again, early on when I was just starting the game, did not think that would be the ship that I would find most compatible with my playstyle. So that was an enemy missile that you could see coming in there. They get highlighted with a diamond, and that was a blue missile, so it's a shield breaker, which obviously doesn't pose any threat to a ship without shields. Interestingly, missiles can be shot down. Not really with a flat cannon. It doesn't fit with how the flat cannon works, but most other weapons, pretty easy if you just line yourself up right to shoot down incoming missiles. And there are other ways to go about that as well. Let's just swap out the shield breakers for the light missiles. In terms of, and that fusion blaster will scrap. There are automated defenses, there are drones that specialize in shooting missiles down, so there's a lot of missile defense, and again, skillful piloting, the use of your boost at the right time can evade 95% of incoming missiles. So they can be deadly if you're not paying attention, if you're not good at what you're doing, but as long as you are engaged in the battle, watching them, using that boost, using those resources, you can pretty easily avoid incoming missile fire. All right, so fuel here, but we're at full, which is great, so we don't have to waste any resources. Here's a trade shop. Typically, if you're in a normal run, you want to maximize your money, so sell stuff that you don't have. For me, that's not a concern. I don't need ore, though. You can see we've got a ton of scraps. We can trade it for plasma, which we don't have much of. Let's do that. And then we could trade scrap for crystal. Again, I think that's worth it. Crystal's a little bit more rare than scrap. All right, and we'll get the credits and the fuel we can't get. And again, there is fuel in some of these tanks, so if you're desperate, you can blow them up and get the fuel, but you are going to then turn the base hostile. You won't be able to use it, and the turrets and other G&B ships that are in the area will turn hostile and attack you. So, you know, do a hit and run. If you need the fuel, shoot the tanks, grab the fuel, and then get ready to jump immediately. And the G&B characters or faction can remember you if you do enough damage to them. If you shoot a crate, they'll be mad at you while you're there, and if you jump out, they'll forget about it. But if you take the crate and then you blow up all their turrets and then you blow up the ships in the system, they'll report you to the next sector, and then that one will also be hostile to you. So be frugal about when and how you anger the GMB location. If you want to steal a crate because you're on your way out of the system, go for it. If you want to steal one thing of fuel, go for it. But if you're going to do more than that, think about the potential longer lasting consequences. All right, we're just taking a quick look around for anything of interest. I think I saw a freighter wreck. Yep, up here. So the gold glowing crates will have free items in them. So let's get those out. And one thing I have equipped that I picked up is a tractor beam, which just increases the collection radius for the ship. And again, when you have this ship, which doesn't have shields, bumping into stuff is bad. So the tractor beam's ability to grab it and pull it towards you can be pretty valuable, even though it's not a help in combat directly. Saving those hit points from your own mistakes of just running into stuff is pretty valuable. All right, and we'll head in here and use up our access key. Okay, so this one requires the key to get in. So usually not going to be a collectible in this situation, but there should be a good crate inside with weapons or upgrades, which is what I'm more concerned with anyway. And this should be the special tech container. So these are the good ones. Target decelerator is good. That'll slow down what you're shooting at, which helps. Missile defense, I find I don't get a lot of use out of, so we'll scrap that. And that's a good Gatling. Still not one that I'm going to use, but better than the one that I have, so we'll put that in there for now. All right, and let's get out of here. There is obviously something probably in that field there, but we're going to try and move things along a little bit more quickly. Okay, so this is one of the hazards, and this is probably the least dangerous one where your sensors are impaired. You can see this kind of gas cloud that you're in. A little bit harder to lock onto enemies. Sometimes it'll prevent the O-car from jumping in. So this one, you know, not a big deal, but you never know which hazard you're going to get. All you know is that there is a hazard. But if it turns out to be this one, you're in pretty good shape. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this will be our first capital ship encounter. And this looks like a Corvette. And you can see I'm having trouble locking onto it because of those problems with the sensors. So those things are pretty tough. They've got a number of weapons. This is the easiest capital ship. There's a version, you know, a V2 version, which is more powerful. There are bigger capital ships called frigates. Those guys usually not too bad, and he spent a lot of his energy shooting at my drones, which was great. And they're usually worth killing because they have good drops. You can see we got a boatload of nanobots. And then this Viridian energy. This is one other thing that carries through from playthrough to playthrough. Along with your credits getting to the end, you keep your Viridian energy. It's used for super big upgrades and some other kind of, there's one niche shop NPC character who you use Viridian energy to upgrade your stuff with. So it's valuable. It's good to get it whenever you can, and hang on to it for those important moments. All right, I think that's going to be it for here. Let's get out. Where is my jump gate? And again, I'm going quickly for, you know, time's sake in the video. Also, I don't need collectibles, so I'm not looking for any of that. I don't need credits, so I'm not like maximizing that. You can spend much more time picking through the areas. There's a lot in each sector for you to kind of go through and find. But again, I'm breezing through it a bit quickly. Okay, let's... Yeah, we're definitely not going to go down because there's two hazards, so let's stay up for now. And we've got a jump suppressor. See if we can locate it. The jump suppressor can be ships, like those capital ships. So up there we can see that glow is probably going to be it right there. Again, as you play the game, you'll learn the telltale signs, what to look for, what certain areas are, what to expect in certain structures, and that is going to be the sign that there's a suppressor there. All right, we lost one of my drones. Let's get a replacement out. And we can now, oh, see, these are gonna be turrets here. There's usually turrets protecting the suppressor. And then we can take out the gas tanks underneath. Okay, I think we're in pretty good shape. These electrical storms take down shields. So again, not a threat to this ship. We can go in, and the lightning strikes, which would normally take a good chunk off of your shields, don't do anything to this ship. So again, that's there can be hazards where the entire sector can be a lightning storm, And once again, if you're in this ship, not a problem because it doesn't have shields anyway. Alright, good enough. Oh, well, we got something coming in. Oh, that's a big one. Capital ship.
Showed him.
Okay, we got that guy down. The explosions from the ships do not seem to cause damage. They can push your ship, like if you're in close, you'll get knocked around and flip over. But I've never seen damage result from the explosion of a ship from destroying it. So probably not something you need to worry about. Again, no need to be in close to an explosion, but I don't believe it does damage. All right, good enough. Let's head out. Okay, so we've got 3 options. Let's take the middle, the lower danger section with the hazard, and we'll see what the hazard is. We kind of have to pick our poison here. Okay, so this is one of the other collectible areas. You need to destroy this sphere, which is dangerous, and then after you do that, you go inside that structure. See that little lit door? You can go in there, and if you've destroyed the circle guy, it's called an ancient, then you will unlock the collectible inside the structure. But no need to do that. I've collected all of the collectibles, so I'm not gonna do that fight. One note: when you take out the enemy, the ancient, it becomes a little mini black hole. So don't be too close to it, and be ready to boost away because it will try to suck you into the black hole after you defeat it. And then also, when you get the collectible inside there, a jump gate opens, which will take you directly to the next sector. So you'll skip some sectors, which may be useful or desired. That I would take in this run, but it's not worth engaging with that ancient. Again, it would probably be fine. I could probably do it, but it would expend a lot of resources, and without getting the payoff of the collectible, it's just not worth it. The goal here is just to survive and get to the end. All right, these guys, these are a problem. They're, again, there's all kinds of drones, and one of them is called a Weber. And the Weber puts that purple tractor beam on you and just slows you down and pins you in place. Super annoying. They get in close, so they're tough to target, and they completely hamper your ability to move and dodge. You know how I said you can usually, through good piloting, through good skill, avoid a ton of the incoming damage? Yeah, well, when you've got 1 or 2 of those things on you, then you can't. So they are priority number 1 for me. They don't do damage directly, but they can be extremely dangerous if there's some other enemy ships engaging you and those things are holding you in place. All right, this is one of the other NPCs, and I finished his quest line, so he just becomes a trader available at certain locations throughout the game. Okay, I don't think we need any of this. I do want, so that arc, oh, we don't have enough compounds, so never mind. I don't want the emergency shield. The override is interesting. That can turn ships to your side. Let's see if I have room for that. I would take that. Do I want to get rid of the decelerator? Probably not. I think we're good. Okay, so again, in the interest of keeping things brief, we'll hit this ore up, and then we will get out of here. And of course, as soon as I say that, it means I've triggered a trap. Big asteroids like this one here typically have resources inside. There might be like a mineable crystal or some other things that you can go and get out of them if you dive through them. There's usually little holes dug through the structure that you can use to explore. And what's this? We'll just get this out here. More ore. And there's a creature in there.